Well, good evening and welcome to today's live interview. I am your host, Victoria Odekomaya. I'm a brand photographer and the owner of Boss Ladies and the brains behind Boss Ladies of Indiana. Today, my guest is Sherry Borshoff of Borshoff Consulting. She is Indiana's tax expert and a federally licensed enroll agent. You're going to tell us what that means shortly. Borshoff Consulting offers bookkeeping and payroll software solutions. They do done for you data entry and reconciliation services. They help with tax preparation both for businesses and individuals and do a fair amount of tax resolution and audit representation work. Sherry is a boss lady, one of my boss ladies that was also referred by another boss lady. And without much ado, welcome, Sherry. How are you doing today? Happy third day of spring.
Well, it's really dreary outside for the second day of spring.
Right.
I'm doing well. A little tired because of the season that I'm in the middle of tax season. So, there's a lot going on here at Borshoff Consulting, and we're just trying to get everything that the clients have sent us entered and reviewed and sent back to them so that they can get their taxes filed on time. And then there's a whole list, of course, of clients that haven't sent us anything yet, and tax season ends in like 3 weeks. So what am I going to do?
I was thinking about that, and I was going to also mention that, at some point today, like it's coming, it's coming to an end pretty soon, like you said, maybe we just dive into that. So for those people out there that are still, struggle or like not even put everything together now, or when to talk to someone to help them prepare their taxes, what are the most important things they can do right now to help them?
Well, get all their paperwork together. If they own a small business, then it's very important to have your bookkeeping all ready to go. So your tax professional, or you, if you're your own tax preparer, which I never really recommend that if you're a small business, because you want to get everything that you can get as far as deductions from your gross revenue.
Right.
Because revenue is an income, and you have to take into consideration all the things that it costs you to produce that income.
Right.
So, and then the net, of course, is what you want to pay income tax on.
Right.
So, general things like just your mileage log, your make and model of the car you used for business during the year. If you're like my husband, he's got 4 of them that he rotates between. So I got him a mileage app for his phone that, he can flag which car he's driving and, put in where he's going, why he's going there, whether it's business or personal. And I always preach about that mileage log because I've represented people in audit who didn't have one, or didn't have one that the auditor thought was appropriate, and consequently got most, if not all, of their mileage, all of their vehicle expenses disallowed. Of course, my job is to argue with that revenue officer and say, now look, that they are a salesperson and they drive constantly, so I always tell folks, at the very least, keep a calendar in your car and keep your appointments. And when you have an appointment on your calendar, you can record your beginning and ending mileage on that. So at the very least, of course, it makes the apps that are out there right now make it really easy to track your mileage, and most of them out there will even let you produce a report to send to your tax preparer.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I know that the one what we use, TripLog, does let you send the report
Mhm.
in a PDF format, which of course we download that and we keep that in our business files.
Right.
And Mile IQ, I'm certain, does that. And then QuickBooks also has a mileage tracker built
Mhm.
into their software that if you have the phone app, as far as I've experienced, you automatically have that mileage tracker if you're using um, QuickBooks Online, especially QuickBooks Pro, which
Mhm.
most small businesses need. I mean, unless they're like a micro business, and sometimes they can get by with Essentials or Simple Start, but the QuickBooks Pro really allows growth, you
Mhm.
know. Um, so, I know when you're first starting up that cash is king. So
Mhm.
you have to have all that cash flow available
Right.
to you. So often I will start a company out on Simple Start, and then it doesn't take long before they outgrow that.
Right.
Um, because that program it's just debits and credits. That's all you can do in it. You can't really run any reporting or run any other stuff. It's just
Mhm.
the simplest. I mean,
Right.
you could do it on a spreadsheet, simple,
Right.
but
Yeah.
QuickBooks Online especially just gives that collaboration tool with your tax professional like me, who can
Mhm.
go in and kind of see what you're doing and advise you, which is a big part of my job.
Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. Before I go into that, for anyone that is watching, you can join the conversation in the comments section, and we're going to see that. So if you have any questions for Sherry today, please drop it in the comment section. We'll be able to see that and be able to hopefully answer your questions. And if you're watching a replay, the conversation continues after the live is over. So make sure that you continue to comment or even go to borshoffconsulting.com. That is Sherry's website. You can find a lot of information about that. So I wanted to mention something that I really appreciate about you. I remember when we did your photo session and you gave me some very, very important tax advice, and for me, it was just like a testament of how much you care for your clients. And some of it is also what you're already demonstrating here, just like by sharing, you've already shared like two tips, with QuickBooks, as well as logging the mileage, without like it just flows out of you because of how passionate you are, in helping your clients. So I just wanted to mention that for me, one of the things I really appreciate about you is just how you help small businesses, make sure they have that good foundation of good current practices, to start off their businesses and also, or maybe even correct it. So thank you so much for doing that, because I can tell that it emanates from you. You really are passionate about what you do and how you help your business, your clients. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
my
yeah,
pleasure.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your journey, right? So obviously you started somewhere and now you are a boss lady, you run your own successful company. Can you tell us a little bit about how that started?
Well, I like to say I've been an accountant all my life, but that wouldn't exactly be true. I've been an accountant for a long time. When I first started out in accounting, I worked for a CPA firm for a couple years. And
Mhm.
then the fact that I had small children, and when you're in public accounting, you kind of have to commit a lot of hours, especially this time of year.
Right.
And so I got a corporate job
Mm.
after my husband said, "You can't work for a CPA firm anymore. You got to get a 9 to 5 job,"
Right.
which, in my experience, there's no such thing as a
Mm.
9 to 5 job.
Right.
But so I worked for a multi-unit restaurant company for like 7 years. And
Mhm.
then I was recruited by a large electrical contracting firm who
Okay.
had a big account, a big contract with Eli Lilly and Company.
Mhm.
And they had this software that nobody in their organization knew what to do with, that they'd invested a lot in.
Mhm.
So I got contacted through a vendor actually that I worked with at the for the restaurant company with some
Mhm.
software stuff that I had done for them.
Uh-huh.
And he asked me if I would ever be interested in, talking to somebody about a job opportunity. And I said, it's the first time I ever thought about even leaving a job that I liked.
Mhm.
I liked everybody there. I liked what I was doing. But, you always look for those opportunities to get more money, more benefits,
Right.
whatever, whatever encourages you to move along the job chain, if you will.
Mhm.
So I went and interviewed with these guys, and they were good old boys from Kentucky. And I just loved them both. They were just so genuine, and they told me what was going on. And I'm like, well, you really have to have a good foundation in how accounting works to
Mhm.
be able to put together um, a software in a way that it will work.
Right.
A database isn't going to work if it's structured wrong.
Right.
So they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And so I went to work for this large electrical contracting firm,
Mhm.
which, in all honesty, I thought I would retire from that job. I thought I'd work for them until I was ready to retire.
Mhm.
And God had different things
Plans.
in mind for me, I guess, because in 2009, Lilly went through this whole major restructuring, and they lost the contract
Mm.
that they had with them. And that was a lot of eggs in that basket. I mean, it was multi-million dollars.
Wow.
So, that being said, it's like without that contract, they can't really afford to have someone like me who's experienced in all of this controller
Right.
CFO type stuff.
Right.
They offered me the opportunity to stay with the company and go work in the field. But when I kind of looked at what the field bookkeepers did, I mean, it was below my skill set. So um, I said, I think I'll just see what else is out there for me. And they
Mhm.
gave me glowing reviews and all this stuff. So that's kind of where I started to really think about, you know, um, what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And I'm at that point, I'm in my late 40s, and I've got a lot of experience, and I was interviewing constantly, but I was getting the, well, we feel like you're overqualified
Mm.
comment, which
Mm.
is code for we don't want to pay you that much.
Right.
So I decided that if I was going to make less, I could make less on my own terms. My husband has been self-employed since before we got married.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he's a health insurance agent, health
Okay.
and life insurance.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, I started talking to him, and I started putting together a business plan and looking at the statistics. And like 98%, at least at that time, and I think it's higher now,
Mm-hmm.
98% of the small businesses out there are very small businesses.
Yes.
So marketing to the small and medium business class, um, those are the businesses that really need that kind of controller CFO role.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's where the consulting comes in, you know.
Okay.
They definitely need the bookkeeping and the guidance and the payroll to keep everything on track for them.
Right.
So the business plan was going to be like start out as a CFO for hire.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I kept getting these questions like, do you do tax returns too? And so
Mm-hmm.
it morphed into more tax focused,
Right.
which that's one of the things that I would say makes me different from most accounting type firms, is that I look at everything from that tax perspective. What is an IRS agent or an auditor going to say about
Mm-hmm.
your records, for example? And I always get on that um, not pedestal, but soapbox
Right.
about the keeping the records
Right.
correctly,
Mm-hmm.
because your records are everything. And I always suggest that clients digitize those. And again, going back to the great features that QuickBooks has, if you download the QuickBooks Online app, there is a feature in there called Snap Receipt, which it snaps your receipts, or you can email your invoices and receipts to
Mm-hmm.
it, and it will actually try to match it with the transactions that are coming in from your bank feed, which
Right.
keeps everything really nice as far as the audit trail goes.
Right.
So, that's kind of where all that comes from. And I'm very passionate about helping small businesses
Yeah.
to grow and realize their dream, because it's not easy. I've often said that since I've been self-employed, I've worked harder
Mm.
than I've ever worked for a single company.
Mm.
But I do love it, so it's good to be passionate about what you do.
Right.
And so that I officially started my company in 2011 is when I incorporated it. 2010 was, I had a little bit of self-employment income during that time, but I didn't really form my official company until 2011.
Okay.
So, right now I'm heading into my 11th year of,
Yeah.
or I'm in my 11th year of business. And it has been surprisingly, I guess, to me at least, successful.
It's good.
I'm always looking, though, for more clients, especially those professionals who are so busy during the day doing what they do to make money that
Mm-hmm.
they need somebody on their side who's doing all the back office stuff and keeping them compliant and on top of things.
Right.
So, I don't
That's
know if I
amazing.
answered your question.
No,
I kind of get off into a
answered
tangent.
a lot of my questions, so that's really good. So what are some of the challenges that you had, starting out? Like, what are some of the things where your challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I would say the biggest one is money. You
Yeah.
know, um, Going from a regular paycheck job to I don't know where I'm even going to get clients from.
Right.
At this point, when you start out in a business, you're kind of really looking for anybody who's willing to pay you money for what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, from a business coaching type of a standpoint, that's not really the most efficient way to grow
Right.
your business. My husband told me I needed to go to networking groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I must have at that point looked like a deer caught in headlights because, by nature, I'm an introvert. Um, once I get to know you, I open up quite a
Right.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
But going to Rainmakers, for example, and it's not a structured networking particularly where I mean they put you in small groups, but they put you in groups with people that you don't know, which
Right.
is the idea of networking.
Right.
Um, and I'm not the personality type that walks up to somebody that I don't know and
Right.
says, well, hey, I'm Sherry, I'm an accountant, what do you do? you know
Right.
uh, so the structured networking, I landed in Gold Star, and I've been a Gold Star member since
Mm-hmm.
basically since I started, you
Okay.
know. And but I looked at other groups like BNI. Didn't like that BNI was like, if you miss 2 meetings, they're going to kick you out. And I'm like, well, that won't work for me because I have tax season and I'm
Right.
not going to be there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So my clients come first. If a client needs me and I'm supposed to be going to my network meeting, guess what? my client's going to take precedence over my network meeting. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that rigidity, but Gold Star's a little bit more. I mean, they say they encourage you to get a sub if you're not going to be at your meeting, which during busy season, I kind of like get normal that normal sub. So he's going to all of my meetings for me, and it gives him the chance to promote his business as well
That's
as
good.
mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a win-win.
Right. It is. So,
And
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead. I
no,
want to ask, so how have you built resilience or confidence over the years? Because I can relate with you in terms of, starting out, having, so source of regular income, and then, switching to where you're like, oh Lord, where is my next paycheck coming from? And so I can relate with some of that, but like, how did you build that confidence? Like, what are some of the things that you did to make yourself feel confident or resilient to say, I'm just going to keep going, even if I don't know where the next client is going to come from?
um, well, networking really brought me out of my shell a
Okay.
lot. I mean, even my husband was like, "You're not the same person you were 10 or 11 years ago."
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I'm that person that will walk up to somebody and strike up a conversation with a total stranger. Um,
Mhm.
he's a salesman, so that comes easy for him.
Right.
Uh, so, but networking did bring me out of my shell. It introduced me to a lot of great people, like
Mhm.
you. You know, um, we met through a friend of mine who I met through Purposeful Living
Yeah.
originally, and I do network with a lot of financial advisors. So, um, Beth and I refer business between us. And
Yeah.
I was looking for headshots, and she did this boss lady thing. And I thought, well, I would like to do that. So here I am.
Right. And tell us a little bit about that experience. What was it like for you? The boss
Oh,
ladies
it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I know how the Barbie doll heads felt. I was like, she was doing my hair and makeup. I'm like, did you play with the big Barbie head when you were a kid? I guess, she just really seemed to really enjoy that making up my face. And I told her, I said, I don't normally wear this much makeup, so this is new for me. Because usually it's just a little mascara and some blush, and I'm out the door, you know,
Yeah.
uh, more of that. But I looked fabulous. I
Yes,
mean,
you did. You look
the
amazing.
the magic that you did with that camera, because I look at those pictures and I'm like, that I don't look that good normally.
You do. You're not giving yourself enough credit. We just enhanced what was already there and we captured it on camera. That was what.
I appreciate that because, I've been getting a lot of compliments on it, and I'm going to use the pictures that I purchased from you for social media and other media campaigns.
Yes.
I told you that I'd like to start a YouTube channel for
Yes.
those business tips,
Mm.
give little um, 3 to 5 minute videos on, well, this is what you need to know type stuff,
Yes.
because there have been throughout my career so far as having my own firm, I have clients that come in, whether they're just starting their business or they've been in business for a few years and it's starting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
There are questions that I ask them that they have no idea what it even means.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some of those things like equity in your
Mm-hmm.
business is pretty important. so,
Yes.
I don't want to make accountants out of all of them because then I wouldn't have a job. So,
Right. Right.
but just to make them aware of
Yes.
what they're taking on if they're starting a new business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, money is a big part of that. Where are you going to get the money from to
Right.
sustain your business until you get that reoccurring revenue built up?
Mm.
Or in like my particular business, reoccurring revenue comes from software sales and setup, payroll, uh,
Mm-hmm.
processing, and bookkeeping processing. And there are some clients that just want to buy the software and do it themselves. We've
Right.
had situations where they did it themselves for a year, but they didn't really do it. And then, so we have that conversation about it's going to cost you less if you let us do this every month
Right.
instead of paying us, a couple $1,000s to do it at the end of the year for you.
Right. Right.
So, there are those choices, but the,
Mm-hmm.
the mindset when you start a business and you have been used to getting like a regular paycheck, and I know because I've been there,
Right.
it's like, um, what what can I save money on? What can I do myself? And that's not a terrible business mindset to have. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, you have to have that team behind you, which is your accountant, your lawyer, your marketing person, sales people. One of the big things that I learned in business is that marketing and sales are not the same thing.
Oh my God. Yes. The light bulb went off my head
you
too
know,
when I really? They're two different things, but yes,
it's
totally
like
agree.
the resume. The resume gets you in the door, but you got to
Yes,
sell yourself once that
absolutely.
that
Yes,
prospect is in front of you.
right.
And um and you need to track the records. You need to
Mm,
track, which is that's an accounting thing that comes up, is like if you can't track it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
mm,
You can't
mm,
track the return on your investment for what you've put into that,
right.
then you need to rethink what you're spending your marketing budget on, or your sales and marketing on the books tend to
Mm,
go on the same line, but um, those metrics tend to be very different, because marketing gets the prospect in front of you, but
right.
sales closes the deal.
Do, yes.
So that was a big eye opener for me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I know all the accounting and finance stuff, but I don't know legal stuff. Like one of the things that I do always refer to my lawyer friends
Mm-hmm.
is when you start your business, it's like almost too easy to go to the Secretary of State and form an LLC or an S corporation or whatever, however you want to form it.
Right.
But if you don't have our actual legal articles of incorporation and operating agreement, you don't have a veil. And I've actually experienced being in an audit situation with a client where they want to, the IRS wants to see those documents.
Oh, wow.
Because they will puncture the veil if they can.
Right.
So, you know, aside from protecting yourself, protecting what you're building with your company from, you know, evildoers or whatever you want to call them, there are those individuals, unfortunately, in the world who are just looking for a payday without having to work hard for it. So, they will come after you for like, you know, so you got to have your insurance. Especially, well, like in my profession, I have errors and omissions insurance and professional liability insurance and cyber insurance, aside from workman's comp, which is, you know, I'm insured up. Let's just say. So those are the people that you kind of need to gather around you too, as starting a new business.
I really like what you said, and you packed a lot into that. In that you have to have a team. It's so critical, and because we can, as individuals, cannot do it alone. So knowing that you have an educated, well knowledgeable financial person in in your team, a lawyer and an attorney, like all of this, like is so critical because. And I think that's one of the other things that I really like about what you're doing, you know, especially helping small business owners. It's like, you know, a lot of us cannot afford a CFO, you know, but you know that I have a CFO, even though it's not full time on my staff, because I cannot afford that, you know, so I can say that I have a CFO, so to speak. So then the also other thing that you also say, I wanted to mention that so that everyone watching would know is that you have, I know you're starting that YouTube channel that gonna, you know, share a lot of tips and information. But right now, you also have a blog that is packed with gold, you know, golden nuggets. So if you're out there and you're looking to learn, you know, a little bit or a lot or a little bit, go on borshoffconsulting.com/blog and you find a lot of good information. I really love that you're so willing to share. And I read your blogs. I think so many great titles, you know, from the things that you don't even think of as a small business owner or things even as an individual too. So do yourself a favor and just go and, you know, check on that if you're watching. And then also like, generally speaking, also, I was also going to mention about how marketing is totally different from sales. And for me as well, I didn't realize that until I started kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to do marketing. That word gets thrown around so many times that, you know, it could mean so many different things. So I know you did a lot of networking. That's how you got a lot of your clients in the beginning, right? And right now it's a little bit more word of mouth. Is that how you get most of your clients now?
The majority of my clients still come through referrals. So either through networking partners or through clients who have, you know, had a good experience with me helping them out, and then they refer somebody that they know. So it's different than what my husband does as a salesman for health and life insurance. It's like nobody's going to hire me from a cold call. Right. I mean, if they did, it's very rare because they want to know somebody who knows, likes, and trusts me.
Right.
So, you know, and when I do the metrics every quarter, it still proves that most of the new clients come through a referral source.
Yes.
So, you know, let's not stop the referral sources.
Well, I mean, that's the thing you mentioned that I really think it's again amazing in that you have to know the source of your referrals, because
Mhm,
you can channel your spending, your marketing dollars. And
mhm,
only when you keep track of the numbers that you actually know those things. And as a business owner, frankly, it's a lot that we juggle already. I speak for myself, and I know I'm speaking for a lot of people out there where, we're spread so thin. When you say
mhm.
you've worked harder for yourself more than for any other person that you've worked for, I completely agree because sometimes I'm like, I want to pull my hair out. But
Yeah.
because of the drive and the passion, I just keep going, right? But it's just I really like that. Thank you so much for mentioning that because now I have to keep tracking too, like do a better job tracking.
Right.
Right.
It's self-employment is you're wearing all the hats until you
Yes.
can afford to hire the people to wear the hat for you,
Right.
which I am big on outsourcing the stuff that I'm not good at. If it's not my wheelhouse, I'm going to outsource that stuff to somebody whose wheelhouse it is.
Right.
And it's money well spent.
Mm.
Again, you got to track the metrics though. Uh,
Right.
Case in point is I spent a lot of money last year on a radio commercial that
Mm-hmm.
just broke even. I mean, I
Oh.
got clients from it, but
Mm-hmm.
when I looked at the metrics, I didn't get, you know, you want to get twice as much money from that as you spent
Right.
to make it worthwhile. And it just didn't happen.
Mm.
And, I've had my marketing people and my sales people, they're like, well, maybe you were advertising the wrong thing.
Hmm.
Because in that I was advertising the resolution, tax
Right.
resolution services,
Mhm.
where, maybe I should have mixed it up and done some bookkeeping and payroll services as well as tax resolution services. And maybe at some point I'll go with some limited runs on radio commercials.
Mhm.
Um, to be honest, though, when I've had interviews like this one, or I've been interviewed on Fox 59 or on WIBC,
Mhm.
those bring referrals, and I didn't have to pay a dollar for them,
Right.
which is amazing. It's just in those situations, I'm just sharing my knowledge with
Yes.
the wider audience, the
Right.
listeners of
Mhm.
that, or the watchers of that media.
Mhm.
And, yeah, it makes me feel very vulnerable because, it's like, oh gosh, I hope I remembered that correctly, but
Right.
you got to preface it too, though, without, I'm not giving you tax advice,
Right.
not over a media outlet.
Right.
I will give you some practical business advice
Right.
and some things and that's where the YouTube thing comes in, because my lawyer is like, you need to make it very clear that this is not tax consultation. you
Right.
know it's just practical tips for small business type stuff.
Right.
So very important to get that right, and limit some of that vulnerability, because I'm not infallible.
Mm.
That is, because I'm an expert in tax doesn't mean that I don't make a mistake now and then. It
Right. We're
just
here.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So that's kind of, well, as Forrest Gump says, that's all I got to say about that.
Right. Right. All right. So, what advice would you give your younger self or any woman out there that is looking to start their business or struggling to move forward? Like, what would you say to them to encourage or inspire them?
Um, Give yourself some grace.
Oh.
You know, it's really hard learned lesson for me,
Mm.
because I think I told you I grew up in a military family.
Yes.
and very strict household. And as a result, it was always like, no matter what I do, even when I do my best, it's not good enough.
Mm.
So it took me quite a while. I mean, I was in my almost 50s before I realized I can't keep beating myself up for every little mistake, for
Yeah.
every little faux pas, here and there. I have
Yeah.
to give myself some grace because
Right.
I'm a human
Yeah.
and humans are not infallible.
Right.
So that would be my main thing to tell women who are thinking about going into business and
Mm-hmm.
having that courage to step out of their comfort zone.
Mm.
I did a leadership program uh, several years ago, and one of the mantras of it was life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. So that is something that I always keep in mind. It's good advice. Just,
Right.
yeah, you may be uncomfortable with this right now, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll get comfortable with it.
Wow.
The more you do something, the better you get at it, the more confident you get with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, so just kind of give yourself grace as you go along that. We're all on a learning path every
Right.
day.
Yes.
So um, don't beat yourself up about having to learn a lesson and maybe even a hard lesson here and there.
Hmm. That's really great advice. Grace. We got to give ourselves grace. Thank you. That's really, really, really good.
And,
So
I do notice that it's harder to give yourself grace than someone else.
yes.
I've always been very forgiving of other people's flaws, faults, whatever. I mean, but when it comes to myself, it's like, I really have to remind myself, hey, you might have messed up, but there's nothing you can't fix.
Right.
So as long as you're still this side of the soil and you're still breathing air, you can fix it.
Yes. Yes. And that's so, so powerful. I have a couple more questions before I let you go. I know you're a licensed enrolled agent. I have no idea what that means. Can you tell us what that means?
An enrolled agent is federally licensed by the IRS. I had to take a 3-part exam
Oh, wow.
to get the license.
Okay.
So, it's one exam less, one part less than the CPA license to get that. Um, but I didn't want to do audit and attestation. I wanted everything that I did just to be really tax focused.
Okay.
So when I had to make that decision of which professional license am I gonna get,
Uh-huh.
I chose the enrolled agent because it's all tax focused. All my continuing education is all tax focused, and
Sweet.
my ethics and continuing education are all governed by the Federal Office of Professional Responsibility, which kind of
Mm,
puts a lot of onus on myself to make sure that I'm getting that education, that I'm understanding what the new tax laws are every year.
mhm.
Um, and, so hopefully, like last year, the government doesn't change the law in the middle of tax season. But most of the time, you kind of go into tax season with it's usually like a day or two of education. This is all the stuff that's changing this year,
Wow.
and it, I found it helpful to even go out to the state.
Hmm.
Of course, I'm in the state of Indiana, so Indiana is the primary state that I work on tax returns in. But I have clients that are in California,
Hmm.
Florida,
Okay.
um, Pennsylvania, a few
Mhm.
other states. So it's always good to get that education that you can too from the state levels.
Right.
Because a lot of states do not just piggyback on the federal,
All right.
especially in Indiana. They do not piggyback all the federal laws. So you have to know what their legislature is doing too.
Right. That's really cool. And so my last question is, what's in your purse?
What's in my purse? Well,
Fun question.
everything. uh, I actually, at a networking thing that I went to for women, I actually won like a little prize because I had everything they said in my purse. Like I have a toothbrush, toothpaste, a
Really?
hairbrush. I mean, my husband calls it my luggage because pretty much if somebody needs it, I have it, you know.
Wow.
I have Band-Aids and
Wow.
um,
You come
I
prepared.
even had a chip clip in my purse at that time, which is not a normal thing that I have, but it just happened to be in there because I don't know why it wasn't there, to be honest. But I have a lot in my purse, and
You're
I use
prepared.
it all. So yeah, I'm prepared.
Yeah,
That's my
that's
motto: be prepared.
good. Right. All right. Well, I guess I said my last question, but my really last question is, obviously we're in the middle of tax season. There's 3 more weeks, and you can help clients that are still, not don't have their taxes done yet. You can help them, whether that be individuals or businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell them to go to borshoffconsulting.com, but perhaps you have some other ways you want them to reach out to you. Could you just share that information with them, share it with us so that we can know how to reach out to you if we need help with our taxes this year and in the future?
Oh, actually, this year, I'm not taking any new 2021 returns because
Oh,
I've got so many to get done in the next 3 weeks, and a few clients I have to chase them down to get their um, information. So, but I would be very happy to talk to anyone, especially small business,
mhm.
about their 2022 and what they can do to make sure that they don't pay any more than they absolutely have to in
Right.
taxes. And, you know, 2022 is kind of where I'm focused on building that client base
Mhm.
now. And, and the reasoning is that with only 3 weeks to go, there's not really enough time to give myself to get to know your tax situation. So, and I don't want to make mistakes. You
Oh,
know, I don't want to rush into something and have myself miss something that could have helped that person. So, you know, it that's my reasoning.
right. And I think
But
that's an amazing reason because that shows you as a person of integrity. It's not about the money for you. It's really because you want to help your clients. And I mean, that's outstanding.
absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you. I really enjoyed, photographing you and pampering you and also talking to you. I feel like I've learned a lot from all of our conversations and definitely today. If you're out there and you want to learn a little bit more about Sherry or Borshoff Consulting, you can learn more on borshoffconsulting.com. I'm going to put the link in the comment section of this video. And please continue the conversation after this because we're still going to be chatting online, commenting, and all that. So please make sure you join the conversation. It's just been an amazing time talking to you, Sherry. I really love
Thank you.
your photographs, and I cannot wait to see all the great things you do with them.
Thanks. That's been my pleasure. I always like speaking with you too. You're so uplifting.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.